Hello, everybody. This is Gökay from Gateway Institutional Services. Our team manages a wide range of institutional clients, including hedge funds, institutional traders, high net worth individuals, and family offices. I am excited to host our third episode of Gateway Institutional AMA series, and I am happy to present you new format of our AMA series. Now you can just listen to us and also able to watch on YouTube. So I would like to welcome to you our stream with crypto market maker GSR, and today we have special guest SJ Fong, the head of sales APEC and AMA GSR. Thank you for joining our stream. Nice to see you. How are you? How do you feel?
It's a pleasure to meet you, Gokai. First and foremost, thanks for having me on your AMA. I look forward to the discussion today. Feel free to take it away.
Yeah, thank you. This is also a pleasure for me and nice to meet you. And so CJ Fong, are you ready to start? So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is CJ Fong and what's your background?
Yeah, sure. So as you already introduced, I run sales over at GSR. The regions I cover are APAC and EMEA, so technically everything that's not on the US side of the business. I joined GSR about 2.5 years ago. My background actually is one from traditional finance. I spent more than 10 years within the banks. My career predominantly was at Morgan Stanley up in Hong Kong. I was a structurer on the trading floor, moved to private wealth, had a bit of a stint at Nomura Private Bank as well, and ended up in crypto. So I've been in crypto since about 2017 from an investment perspective. And right now, GSR as an organization has a global footprint with more than 250 staff worldwide.
Wow, that's amazing. Like I know like lots of people from coming from traditional finance to crypto world, and that this is like great experience background. And let's move to second question. How did GSR come to life and how is positioned in the market right now?
Yeah, sure. So GSR is a very interesting story, and I think we have a lot of history in the firm. We started off as the first altcoin market maker in 2013. It was started by ex-Goldman traders, so once again, alluding to your traditional finance comment. And right now, where we are is we're a global market maker covering on a global basis, where in Asia, we have Singapore as our HQ, in Europe, South London, and also in the US as presence. We have about 250 staff globally right now, and our focus is on market making altcoins, the projects out there. Currently, we market make more than 200 projects. We're also contracted by various exchanges, and we market make certain pairs for them. Right now, I think this stands at around 15 different exchanges on a global basis.
Wow. Like I think like everybody knows GSR, this is like pretty known company, and this is great opportunity right now for our audience to know a little bit about more. So my next question will be like, what is the GSR current focus at the moment?
Sure. So I believe that what we've seen in 2022 has been an almost reset of the crypto industry.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I think those of us who are from traditional finance, we saw this during the Bear Stearns Lehman days, and I think it's happening right now. I think what it's alluding to in the focus is trust. Trust is everything, and I think this is where GSR, we view ourselves. From a market making perspective, we view ourselves as the ethical market makers in the street. We are the market makers that can be trusted because our approach to market making is a client-centric approach. Besides pure market making, what we feel as well is there is a need for more of that vertical stack. So a focus of ours is on the OTC basis. We also look at treasury management for companies, as well as asset management and VC. So we're trying to be a one-stop shop, which covers multiple areas of the value chain within the crypto ecosystem. In short, an infrastructural player.
Yeah, it's not just the market making. There is a lot of like opportunities in the market, and I know like GSR is really positioned and good and doing a lot of great jobs. And how has the recent macro environment for affected like crypto?
So I think we can look at it on two fashions, right? And I think we do need to bifurcate the nature of crypto. I think in 2022, and especially with the FTX debacle, what we've seen last year is it's recovered a bit now, but it was a crypto winter of sorts when we talked about prices of crypto. But the one thing which I love about crypto, and it's something that I'm learning every day, is that the innovation in crypto has continued to happen. Builders are still building. People are now focusing on product, on use cases. And I think, if anything, what's the recent developments, well, what has happened has put us in a greater stead for what we will become. And I'm very excited to see where we're going to go from here.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really so important, like the people finally understanding, like especially like blockchain is developing so much, and we need like the market makers and people to build it and keep true for this ecosystem. And for the next thing, like how do you stay informed and educated about cryptocurrency market and how it's developing?
So that's an interesting dynamic and something actually I get asked a lot from our more traditional finance old school clients. It's there are so many informational sources. How do you keep them all in line? Not only that, how do you sift through the weeds to find what's pertinent and what is accurate? Unfortunately, within crypto, we don't have news sources like Bloomberg that you'd have in traditional finance days. However, what you kind of find is that the nature of crypto is because it's societal in nature, it's democratized in nature, you can find information from Twitter, from Reddit forums. Not only that, you have really good reporting standards out there, really good websites which focus on reporting. But the biggest element of informational source, I feel, is the network that you build, the people that you have on the ground. This can be the VC network, the exchanges like Gate, for instance. It can be different people on different parts of the chain who see different elements. By having regular conversations, by maintaining contact, you are able to create and paint a picture which is very holistic on a global basis.
Mhm. Yeah, this is amazing because like if something happened in the market, like your network is directly giving you informant, and if you surround yourself the amazing people in this ecosystem, you will be one step ahead from the others. And so most of our viewers and followers are naturally like retail investors. So I was wondering if you wouldn't
Mhm.
mind giving us some brief explanation in simple terms of market making and what does a market making company do?
Sure. I think market making, but before we progress into the elements of it, is fundamentally liquidity provision. Now, if we think about that, what we can do is we can compare parallels to traditional finance. So in traditional finance, the banks themselves are considered as market makers. How it tends to work is all of the banks within the traditional finance space will provide liquidity on a singular venue. If you wanted to trade a tech stock, for instance, it will be on one venue where all banks participate. So you get very thick pools of liquidity. Unfortunately, crypto is very unique in this aspect, though. Because we have very fragmented pools of liquidity, a market maker needs to sit in the middle, so to speak, and he needs to ensure that the trading experience on all venues is fungible, meaning it's the same. Meaning, if I trade on exchange A versus B versus C, I should experience it the same way. Liquidity provision within crypto is very unique compared to what you would find in traditional finance, though. So one aspect I like to give and an analogy I like to give, if let's say tomorrow Tesla decides to delist their stock for any reason, well, Tesla will still produce cars, they will still generate revenue, and the business as a going concern will continue. But within crypto, if let's say a layer one, for instance, the token that they provide goes out of circulation and stops circulating within the ecosystem, a lot of the times that blockchain may slowly decay, so to speak. So a market maker within crypto plays a very responsible role. You're almost a base layer before the layer ones build on top. It is our job to ensure that projects alike, that the trading experience, there is always liquidity. And that is where we fit in at the grand scheme of things.
Wow, thanks for great explanation. This is really nice. And one more thing, like I want to ask, like how do you manage risk when the market making in cryptocurrency? Like what is the factors?
Yeah, I think managing risk is a very interesting dynamic. And I kind of feel like risk management in crypto is slowly evolving to the same levels that we have seen in traditional finance. And I think that's a very important analogy, right? Risk is very similar, right? You have things like price risk, you have things like security risk. And I think more and more so, the cybersecurity aspect of the business is becoming very important. Another area where a lot of market makers and even participants in the industry are starting to look at more is regulatory risk. Reg risk has come to the forefront, right? KYC, AML, the nature of being able to trade, for instance, on DEXs. It's a very different dynamic. I feel the best way to manage this risk, and it's something that we do very well at GSR, is we have centralized risk functions. We have a risk team which literally spreads and permeates across the firm and the different functions that we have, and they're able to identify, be it counterparty risk, be it reg risk, be it tech risk, pricing risk. And I think something which has happened in 2022 and has really come to the front and center is that of counterparty credit risk. This is something that's very, very common in the old world, right? Where you trade with somebody and what you expect is to understand what they look like and be able to measure the risk accordingly. Unfortunately for crypto, we haven't managed to do that. And it's something that people, especially after FTX, now the biggest question we get asked whenever we deal with counterparties on OTC is they really want to know how is GSR positioned? How do we look in the current climate? And how have we weathered? So what they are really asking about is counterparty credit risk. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to become more sophisticated. And I think the more sophisticated it becomes, the better it is, because what it does is it creates a robustness within the infrastructural companies within crypto.
Yeah, definitely. Like we need like more specialized people on these terms, and we need also like more regulations to come to make it everything clear and safe. That's great.
Yeah.
And one more thing, like if you will talk about it, like do you have like any advice for pro traders looking to get into crypto trading and the market making?
So it's very unique, right? I think we need to be able to first categorize market makers. Mm-hmm. GSR's approach to market making is very client-centric. And our approach to market making is one where our focus is on being market neutral. By being a market neutral market making shop, it means that we do not take directional views on the underlying that we are market making for. Mm-hmm. It means that what I'm able now to do is create bids and offers which are equal on both sides. This is a fair market practice, so to speak. Our job is to ensure that the underlying token can be traded by the ecosystem and by the community. Alongside this, though, and there is no real right or wrong here, there are many other market-making shops on the street who, for lack of a better term, their DNA is in prop trading, meaning proprietary trading. The way they approach market making is slightly different. They tend to focus a lot more on taking of levels, mm-hmm. and it's very unique compared to the making of levels. Now, alluding to your question of how do people get into the game, so to speak, I think it really depends how you want to position yourself. I think having good algos, robust systems is always going to be the basic level. Having said that, though, there are a number of companies out there creating basic software. So the pro trader, so to speak, the people at home are able to run their own algorithms to trade how they want to trade. Mm-hmm. But I think if you really want to become a proper market neutral market maker, which services the industry, the first thing you're also going to need is balance sheet. I think what we've noticed about crypto, especially when the borrower lending markets collapsed, was that capital is king. And when credit markets froze up overnight, it does affect market makers. And it's something that we pride ourselves in over at GSR, where we maintain a healthy balance sheet, understanding how these dynamics would shift.
Mm-hmm. So in this part is like custodian providers is like also I think coming to entering the market. And I know
Correct.
Like how is important and everything. And to move a little more, like how do you handle like volatile markets, and how does GSR adjust its liquidity, like provision strategies, and is a volatile market?
I think so. This is one, right? I think if anybody comes across and tells you that volatility is bad, I think that's a very strong statement. Having said that, is too much volatility good? Well, probably not as well. It tends to scare away retail, right? I think volatility is maintaining that fine balance between it. And that's something that we tend to do at GSR. When it comes to volatility, obviously a bit of volatility is good because it causes price to move, keeps people interested in the market, so to speak. At GSR, what we do is we have risk systems in place. Even the way that our pricing model works is in such a way that we have mechanisms, which I don't want to say we restrict volatility. What we like to approach it as is we try and smoothen out volatility. We make it more palatable for everybody. Rather than having gaps up and down, it tends to reduce this. So there's still movement, but it's on a much more manageable level.
Mm-hmm. So it's keep like more stable and more, let's say, like more enjoyable in the market when it's like this. When volatility
right.
high.
I mean, it would be controlled, right? Yeah. And I agree. I mean, you put it the right thing. Stability is one aspect. We don't go in to tell you where a price should be. The price of an underlying is the price that the market trades at. That's nothing to do with your market maker. But what we tend to do is to get to that price. Does it take massive swings? Are we able to assist in smoothing out that type of volatility? That is the approach we would like to take.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And So this is like because it's open like one or it's pop up like one question in my head like so how do you stay competitive in order in market space like market making space?
So actually, you've asked a really good question, and it's a question transparently as senior management teams. We discuss this on a very regular basis, right?
Yeah.
I think the first thing is to be humble. It is to understand, firstly, that the market we're in is perpetually evolving. And with that evolution, we need to stay flexible, we need to stay nimble. But more importantly, we have to be accepting of changes that are going to come. So when it comes to how we stay competitive, there's a few things, right? On one aspect, you have the tech aspect. We are continuously refining our algorithms. We are continuously ensuring that the robustness of the systems remains. On the other side of the business, we're ensuring that from a risk management perspective, we look at our risk holistically across the books. By doing so, we ensure that we remain a going concern, but more importantly, this puts trust in us by our clients. The one thing that GSR does very well, and we've actually done this since we started out, and we feel that right now we're almost at the pinnacle of what we must do, is the franchise that is GSR. I think the competitiveness that GSR maintains, as I mentioned earlier on, by being one of the very few market-neutral client servicing market makers, we have managed to develop a franchise. You mentioned it yourself. Everybody knows who's GSR. Our approach to business is one of fair, it's one of education, and it's one of really teaching the right things to be done in this market. And we think that as this continues to evolve, as it continues to develop, it's becoming more positive because people understand that when a token lists, for instance, that is the beginning of the journey of a project. The project's real goal is to develop its product, its ecosystem. And if it does it well, the underlying token should follow suit.
So if like any project is backed with GSR, I think they feel lucky. Yeah, this is like one thing we can consider.
And no, I agree. And I think the approach that you mentioned is I wouldn't say lucky. I think if a project, and when projects work with GSR, above all else, they know that they're going to get professional service. They know that it's going to be the right thing. And they know that from an ethical and a compliant aspect, we're top of the pile for something like that.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. And so it comes to me like so how has the GSR experience been so far with Gate.io? Like, could you give us little examples?
No worries. I think the exchange space in crypto is something that even when I first joined, it's a different animal completely.
Yeah.
If you think about it, a lot of exchanges also played that regulation hat moving around for the right reg sort of concept. I like Gate. Gate has been one of those exchanges that we have been on a very early basis. We actually support a lot of projects on Gate. I think as an exchange, Gate does the right thing by one, manipulation is probably one of the worst things that happens within the industry. And I think Gate does a good job of trying to remove a lot of that. So it's a very good experience. But the best thing about working with Gate transparently has always been the responsiveness of the teams. Gate has a very good, or it's culturally maybe, it's how you've implemented it. It's really, they take feedback, it's very constructive, and we always feel like Gate really works with us whenever we make a suggestion. Because the suggestions we make, well, if you think about it, as a large market maker, if we make them, then it's very highly likely that other trading shops, other market makers would have a very similar opinion. So by doing that, it actually helps Gate evolve. So Gate, I feel, is very, very good at that.
Well, thanks for this. Like, yes, especially like we consider our like clients and our partners' advices and suggestions very strong. And what we're gonna do like in the long-term basis, because like most of our partners in the industry and they are like leading this industry, like as an example as GSR, and this is really good because when we have a connections, like when we have this suggestion, ideas, and how do like blockchain and Web3 is like evolution, and when we are building this is really important. And thanks for the sharing with us. It's great. And so we are almost the end of our main section about GSR. So before let's wrap things up, and I would like to ask, what is your expectation for 2023?
This is the $1 million question. A lot of people ask me where I think prices will end up. I wish I had a crystal ball. If I did have that crystal ball, I wouldn't be working at GSR right now, put it that way.
Yeah.
But I do think that if we look at expectations for 2023, I think I would like to break it up into categories, right? Regulatory, innovation, use case and penetration. I think this is the way that we should look at 2023.
Yeah.
And everything I think about 2023 has nothing to do with prices. I'm a believer that when we can reinstill trust back in the system, when we show that there is a proper use case and we evolve to that level, prices will fall. So if you think about the regulatory landscape, we've had a very tough one. There is no real, on a global basis, real regulator right now leading the way when it comes to crypto regulations.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2023 is the year that this sort of changes a bit. I don't think we're going to see one main leader. What I think we're going to see is most likely a few countries banding together, having a lot of open discussions, and that framework will slowly start to take place. I think it's not so easy and straightforward to regulate crypto. And I think so because of that, I kind of feel like the approach that may be taken is a fit and proper approach, where regulators start looking at the large participants, the infrastructure players, and they start regulating them on the basis of, are you fit and proper to be a pillar within crypto? I think that's the first step. I think with regards to innovation, the last few years have seen an explosion, so to speak, of innovation. Yeah. But I think this is the year that projects really take a step back and say, okay, forget that. It's a great idea, but are there actually people who are going to use the tech that I've built? So what we're going to see this year is that so-called search for the use case. And I think that the region that this may actually come from, a large part of it will be EM countries, emerging market countries. Because if you think about blockchain and what it really does, is it makes things transparent. It's for systems where there is a lack of trust. And in emerging markets, things are so fluid that there is a need for something like this. I also think that if you were to talk about thematics this year, I think this is the year that we're going to see a battle of the layer ones. I think you have a lot of very young, promising layer ones coming to markets. You have Aptos, which launched recently, you have Sui, and you have a bunch of others on a regional basis. But what you also, and this is the new guard if you think about it, but you also have the old guard. You have those like Polkadot, Cosmos, Algorand, Avex, even Ethereum, who is the oldest guy, the grandfather, so-called, of the layer one system. I think there's going to be a battle between them for market share. And the reason why is the old guard are very well financed. They've had 1 to 2 years of hype where they could build up their systems. Now is where they have to show that they become entrenched within crypto. Whereas the new guards want to come in and what they want to do is deliver a message of why they are the new kids on the block and showing exponential growth, so to speak. So I think that the year itself is going to be very exciting. I think we started off very, very well, all things considered. I mean, right now there's a lot of problems still in the market, especially with the Genesis thing that just happened recently. But I do feel the market is a bit more constructive. So I think when a market is constructive, should we be looking at prices for that 10, 20x? I don't believe in that. What I think is when the market's a bit more constructive, people can actually take a breather. We stop panicking about where prices are and we go into build mode. We go into growth mode, but more important, we go into that mode where we sit down and we think, what is really going to be right for crypto? So I do believe 2023 will be the year for that.
Wow, that's amazing. I think like people need to go a little bit back and listen one more time. And there is like lots of answers inside of it. Thank you so much. And finally,
Nice.
and if there is a one thing that you would like to our audience to take away from today, AML, what it will be?
I think from an audience perspective, I think it is an understanding that market making within crypto, it's an ever-changing game. I think that there is a market maker which suits a particular person. And I think that on a few levels, as a project, you must understand what you're looking for in the market. Because a market maker is critical, regardless if you go for a prop shop, market neutral, etc. But I also think that crypto right now is looking towards larger, more stable players. And one of those is going to be GSR. We are going to be around. And we're seeing this growth of market share on our side. So I'm very, very hopeful for what going forward. Yeah. And I think the beginning of the year, well, it started off really strongly. So hopefully it continues.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like our partnership with the GSR will continue and will grow in the like forward years, and we will have great results together. And we are so happy to be partner with you, and we will have like no new partnership. I know in the future we will have it. So let me continue with this case. And so CJ, thank you very much for all of your time. It's been really informative, and I hope our audience will always watch us now better know about like with GSR and what's their like business roles. and I think it's very important. And I want to also like mention that when we talk about like 2023, please watch and listen this more carefully, because there is a lot of answer for you guys, and it's been really good and for me. And have a more information about, like, it will be more interesting about GSR itself. So get in touch with GSR, visit their website, and read more information and follow their reports and analysis. So thanks everyone who watched this our AMI session, and follow us in social media channels. For more information, write to our key account managers. And I want to give you like last chance to, like, put your exposures outside. Do you want to say anything to our listeners or watchers?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It's been wonderful being held here, and I look forward to the rest of 2023.
Yeah, thank you so much, CZ. It was an amazing opportunity to meet with you, and I'm looking forward to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Gökay.
Yeah. So thanks everybody. This is Gökay from Gateway Institutional Services. And please let us know in the comment if you need to, who will be our next session episode, and to explore their thoughts and information together. And happy to be your gateway to crypto. Have a good day and all the best. Bye bye.